Welcome to Spectrum TV News at 12. I am Uyai Anyekan, coming to you live from Uyo, the capital city of Akwa Ibom State, Nigeria. Let's take a look at the major stories. President Buhari assents to copyright and medical school bills. Federal government enforcement of oil measurement law. Plus, Russia launches deadly strikes across Ukraine as China's Xi departs Mexico. We'll bring you details of these stories and more in a moment. Thanks for joining us. First in the news this afternoon is Nigeria's leader, President Muhammadu Buhari, who signed copyright and medical school bills recently passed by the National Assembly into law. The Senior Special Assistant to the President on National Assembly Matters, House of Representatives Nasiru Ilah, made this known in a statement he issued today. According to Ilah, the President assented to the bills on March 17. He noted that the enactment of the new Copyright Act has again demonstrated the commitment of the President's administration to re-energizing Nigeria's creative economy and making it more globally competitive in the digital age. Meanwhile, President Buhari has approved the re-designation of the State House Clinic back to Medical Center. Permanent Secretary State House Tijani Umar disclosed this in Abuja after a pre-commissioning inspection of the new presidential VIP wing of the State House Medical Center by Secretary to the Government of the Federation SGF, Boss Mustafa. Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning Zainab Ahmed and Minister of State Finance, Budget and National Planning Clem Agba. Umar disclosed that all is set for the inauguration of the new world-class facility by the President to add to the growing number of completed and commissioned legacy projects of his administration. He added that the calibration, testing of equipment and training of medical personnel are ongoing, and the Presidency is determined to ensure that the center remains fully operational and well-maintained after inauguration. In the meantime, President Buhari has urged Muslims to use Ramadan season to project the best and finest virtues of Islam by personal conduct and not precept. In a goodwill message to mark the beginning of the holy month of Ramadan, Buhari called on Muslim faithful to practice the teachings of Islam such as kindness and the love of humanity as they commence 30 days of Ramadan fasting. According to a statement by his Senior Special Assistant on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, the President noted that the Ramadan is characterized by abstention from food and drinks from dawn to dusk. Meanwhile, the Nigerian Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs has enjoined Muslim faithful to devote themselves fully to the worship of Allah throughout the holy month, urging them to use the period to pray for the progress, peace and prosperity of the nation. Away from that, the Federation Account Allocation Committee FAAC has shared 722.677 billion naira February 2023 Federation account revenue to the federal government, state and local government councils. The figure represents a further decrease of 27.493 billion naira compared to 750.17 billion naira shared in January. The FAAC disclosed this in a communique issued at the end of its latest meeting in Abuja. According to a statement by its director, Press and Public Relations, Bawa Mokwa, the total amount includes gross statutory revenue, value-added tax, electronic money transfer levies, and augmentation from forex equalization account. The communique explained that the federal government received 269.06 billion naira, state received 236.464 billion naira, and the local governments got 173.936 billion naira, while the oil-producing states received 43.214 billion naira as derivation, 13% of mineral revenue. In a separate development, the federal government has commenced the enforcement of the petroleum measurement regulations as well as 5 other laws in the midstream and downstream oil sectors. Disclosing this through the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority during the official unveiling of the 6 laws by the governing board of the NMDPRA in Abuja, the government warned operators that it would go after anyone who breaks the new laws. It said the 6 regulations were part of the 20 laws developed to guide the midstream and downstream oil sectors, noting that the remaining 14 regulations were being finalized at the Federal Ministry of Justice. The governing board chairman NMDPRA Idare Gogo Organ said the authority would ensure that the laws were strictly complied with to effectively grow the revenue generated from the oil industry. Meanwhile, the federal government has indicated plans to install facial recognition technology at major airports in the country. The Minister of State for Finance, Budget and National Planning, Clem Agba, made this known today when he hosted the Japanese ambassador to Nigeria, Masunga Kazoshi, and a team from INEC Corporation, an information technology company in Abuja. Agba stated that the technology, which will be deployed through grant agreements between the Nigerian government and the Japanese counterpart, would easily detect imposters and improve security at airports. He pleaded for the cooperation of all relevant stakeholders, assuring that facial recognition had proved to be very effective globally in securing airports. In another development, the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has reportedly concluded plans to release all 1,000 naira, 500 naira, and 2,200 naira notes, in its custody to deposit money banks, DMB. This decision is expected to end months of hardship and pains Nigerians have been going through following a controversial CBN Naira redesign policy that has caused a severe shortage of old and new Naira notes across the country. Reports say CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele had directed DMBs to begin the disbursement of old 1,000 Naira, 500 Naira and 200 Naira notes to members of the public effective today.
From this week, from Friday, there will be mobilization of all state councils through a NEC meeting. All unions have already been directed to mobilize all their organs and their branches by Wednesday next week. All central bank from the CBN headquarters will be shut till further notice. Workers are directed to stay at home and join in the picketing exercise. From this week,
on electoral matters, the British High Commission has said that the UK Minister of State for Development and Africa, Andrew Mitchell, is prepared to take action against those who engaged in or incited electoral violence during the just concluded Nigeria's general elections. The Commission said the UK was already collating names of perpetrators and would impose sanctions, including preventing people from obtaining UK visas or imposing sanctions under the country's Human Rights Sanctions Administration. In a statement made available to newsmen, the High Commission noted that there were notable points of concern as members of their observation mission personally observed violence and voter suppression in numerous voting locations in Nigeria. We move now to Africa, where South Africa's Foreign Minister Naledi Pandor has said that the government will have to discuss the arrest warrant issued by the International Criminal Court (ICC) against Russian President Vladimir Putin before considering any action. Reports say Putin is scheduled to travel to South Africa for the BRICS Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa summit in August. Recall that the ICC on the 17th of March issued an arrest warrant against President Putin over alleged war crimes in Ukraine. Panda said, as the signatory to the Rome Statute, South Africa is legally bound to detain Putin and bring him to trial, adding that the authorities will first consult with the Russian side regarding the warrant. Still in Africa, Senegal President Macky Sall has urged police to take all appropriate measures to ensure security following deadly protest over the trial of opposition leader Ousmane Sonko. Reports say at least one person died in the clashes between Sonko's supporters and the police. Meanwhile, there have been protests in cities across the country over Sonko's trial on accusations of defaming the tourism minister, a member of Sall's party. Sonko, however, says the real purpose of the trial is to disqualify him from running for the presidency in next year's elections. On the foreign scene, Russia has reportedly unleashed a wave of deadly attacks on towns and cities across Ukraine as Chinese leader Xi Jinping departed from Moscow following talks with President Vladimir Putin. Xi left Russia's capital pledging to deepen ties with Putin, but the meetings failed to achieve a breakthrough on Ukraine. According to Ukrainian authorities, Russia's military launched a barrage of strikes with Iran-made Sahad drones on Ukraine's Kiev region, killing at least 8 people as Xi flew back to Beijing. The Kiev region's police chief Andriy Nektov said 7 others were injured when the drone struck a dormitory building in the town of Rixrev. Still on the foreign scene, French President Emmanuel Macron has given a defiant defense of his decision to force through a rise in the pension age in the face of protests across France and 2 no-confidence votes. According to reports, protesters have been emboldened by the government's use of constitutional power to ram through reforms without a vote in the National Assembly. Reports say a 9th round of strikes and national protests will take place today. In an interview, the French president said protesters had a right to take to the streets and their anger had been taken into account, but it was not acceptable when they resorted to violence without any rules. Still to come in the news. Rivers United beat Rangers in rescheduled NPFL game. To stay with us.
will bring you up-to-date information on topical issues affecting the common Nigerian.
From issues on politics,
hello Nigeria, I remain committed.
Security,
Education, health,
lifestyle, and so much more. Join Janice Kobum and Uyai Anyeken
every weekday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Rise and Shine Daily, exclusive on Spectrum Television.
Thanks for staying tuned, and now to the rest of the news. In business, stakeholders will be highlighting the opportunities in the country's oil and gas sector at the 4th edition of the Nigerian Oil and Gas Opportunity Fair. The biennial fair, which will be organized by the Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board (NCDMB), will hold from May 17 to 19 at the Conference Center in Yenagoa, Bayelsa State. The event, which was introduced by the NCDMB Chief Executive Simbi Waboti in 2017, has showcased short to medium-term plans and activities of operators and project promoters in the upstream, midstream and downstream sectors of the Nigerian oil and gas industry. Recall that Waboti had earlier explained that the fair was intended to give Nigerian service companies the opportunity to build relevant capacities. Still in business, the Director General, World Trade Organization Ngozi Iweala, has said that trade finance is important to boost trade growth in Africa, noting that it would remove financing barriers for small traders in Africa to increase its participation in global trade. Iweala made this known in a video message at a trade finance workshop in Kigali, Rwanda. According to her, the opportunity for dialogue among banks, local government agencies and business could lead to better cooperation. She stated that if ECOWAS countries raised the share of trade supported by trade finance to the average African level of 40%, they could gain an extra 8% in trade flows annually. Now to health news, where the World Health Organization (WHO) has said that although COVID-19 is disappearing from view, access to medicine that treats non-communicable diseases (NCDs) remains out of reach for millions across the world. WHO, in a report published today, highlights the effect of the COVID-19 pandemic on access to NCD medicine, noting the policies and strategies implemented by the country to both anticipate and mitigate the disruption that has hit medical supply chains. According to the report, during the pandemic, people living with cancer, heart diseases, chronic respiratory diseases, diabetes and other NCDs experienced difficulties in accessing their routine medicine. Still in health, the Niger Delta Development Commission has pledged to partner with Nigerian universities to produce life-saving vaccines as well as support other research that offers solutions to some of the problems plaguing the country. The managing director of the commission, Samuel Ogbuku, made the pledge in a statement signed by the Director of Corporate Affairs, Ibitoye Abosade, while receiving a delegation from the River State University, led by the Vice-Chancellor, Professor Nlerum Ogbole, at the Commission's headquarters in Port Harcourt. The Vice-Chancellor commended the Commission for building the capacity of universities in the Niger Delta region, while also urging it to assist the university in building an advanced law center for research in a specialized area of law. In sports, Rivers United defeated Rangers International FC of Enugu 1-0 in a rescheduled Nigerian Premier Football League (NPFL) Matchday 8 game at the Adokiye Amesiaka Stadium in Port Harcourt. The win has now moved the pride of Rivers people to second on the log on 18 points, just 1 point behind Group B leaders Lobby Stars in the NPFL abridged league season. Recall that the club had disqualified for the quarter-final of the Confederation Cup last weekend despite grinding out a 2-2 draw against visiting Diables Nurse of Congo-Brazzaville. Still in sports, Chelsea came away with a crucial victory over holders Lyon in the first leg of their Women's Champions League quarter-final in France. Lyon, who progressed from 12 of their 13 quarter-finals, imposed their dominance earlier, creating several chances for striker Eugene Lissoma, which she could not convert. Chelsea then demonstrated their ruthlessness in front of goal as Returns Curling shot their first on target, nestled in the far corner before James rattled the post shortly afterwards. The game opened up in the second half as Lyon pushed for an equalizer and Cascarino almost provided it when she struck the woodwork, but Chelsea still posed a threat on the counter-attack. On our entertainment news, Nigerian musical duo Ajebo Hustlers have released a new single titled You Go Know, which showcases their vibrant energy and unique blend of Afrobeats and pop music. The single is their first release of 2023, coming off the back of their Bad Boy Etiquette 101 EP, released in November of 2022. The singers have quickly become one of Nigeria's favorite talents with their unique sound and captivating performances. Their latest single, You Go Know, is anticipated to make its mark in the Nigerian music scene and beyond. Still in entertainment, Afrobeats great Wanda Cole has pushed back the release of his upcoming album by 1 week. The singer made this revelation via the updated release date, which now reflects on music streaming platforms. Reports say the decision by Wanda Cole to move back his album release is most likely motivated by Davido's announcement of his upcoming fourth album, Timeless, which is scheduled for release on March 31st, 2023. The new date for the release of the upcoming album is set to be April 7th, 2023. And that's all we have for you at this time. Do ensure to follow us on social media. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtv.ng. You have been watching Spectrum TV News at 12. I am Uyai Anyeka. Thanks for watching and do enjoy the rest of your day.